is a student account that is using Educake. In this instance, it's science, but your school might subscribe to English or maths or computer science or one of the 8 subjects that we offer here at Educake. The orange section that you see to the left is their upcoming quizzes. So this is very much teacher-led quizzing. So this will be their homework, very obviously dated with, when it was assigned, who it was assigned by, the date that it was due to be completed, and really just so that it's not overwhelming, just their most recent tasks to do in that lovely to-do list there. Then the other side of the story is the study and quiz yourself, which is the purple section to the right, very much where independent learning and self-guided study comes to life. And I'll be exploring that in a lot more detail in a moment. And then you've got the revision wizard, which is the blue button you see to the top left of the screen. And that's where Educake offers a helping hand for the students to step into independent study with auto-generated quizzes for those short, sharp, snappy quizzes and engagement and sort of confidence building activities there as well. So when we're then coming back to the student area, what I'd like to do first is to show you what a quiz looks like, so that whilst we're looking at all of these revision areas, you know how the quizzes work and the feedback that the children get as they work their way through those. So I'm just going to very briefly open up the first quiz in this upcoming quiz list. And what you'll see in this list is there's a comment from the teacher. So the teacher has ask the student to retake the quiz until they achieve 70%. And the students can retake those quizzes as many times as they want to really help embed that learning. And as I walk through the quiz, if I type another answer in there, you will see it will give me an answer explanation. So what you're getting here for the children is you're getting instant feedback, so they know straight away whether they've got a question right or wrong. But it's also then giving them the explanation so that there's learning as they go. Now, before I move into how to really get the best of Educake when it comes to revision, I just want to sort of mention that what we focus on here is that knowledge recall. If you can imagine all of the topics and units and subjects that your children are covering in an academic year, then really the intention is for us to really help with that spaced learning and repetition so that it's really easy for them to pick up a previous topic or unit and just really remind themselves of that learning throughout the year. So what we do best is we support with that quizzing, but in a low pressure environment so that it really creates a positive learning experience for them too. So if I start with sharing that in this orange section where you had the upcoming quizzes, you'll also see the option to view all upcoming quizzes. And what that does is it opens up a slightly different screen here that does show you all of the outstanding teacher set tasks, but it also shows you their completed quizzes from previously. And what we do is we use a really lovely red, amber, green scoring system so that it's really nice and visually obvious which ones of those quizzes would be worth revisiting to improve their scores. And they can very simply choose to retake any one of these quizzes by way of revising previously visited material. And you can have real sort of trust in this section in the sense that it is already content that they've been taught and tested. So it's a nice area to start building their confidence in terms of that revision. So from this section, if you chose to take one of these, then very simply, you see the take quiz again, and it just walks the children through the quizzes step by step. But what you can do here, if perhaps there is a quiz that's been retaken a couple of times and there are just 2 questions that just always cause that sticking point and really become challenging, then using that drop-down box here where it says questions in this quiz, it will show you those questions that the students are getting incorrect still. And then from the drop-down area here, it gives you that expanded knowledge and explanation. So that there is how to use the previously completed quizzes by way of embedding their knowledge further and using those as a revision tool. So just going to come back to the home page now, and the second area I'm going to explore with you is the study and quiz yourself area. And what you'll see with this example is this student's got some percentage scores in there. What's worth mentioning here is this will look and feel different for every single student that uses Educake, because it depends on how much they've used it up until now. But the more they use it, the more the scores will populate. So it's a real confidence builder again, and it allows them to really see their progress visually. So I'm just going to pop into the 50% score there for you and show you how it then breaks down the scores by the topics and units that they've already visited using Educake. So they can drill down to understand that in chemistry, they've struggled a little bit at 49%. And if they scroll down, they can see the areas that they've perhaps done a little bit better, or indeed the areas that they might want a little bit more support. So in quantitative chemistry, if I start there and I look at the next layer of detail, it shows me that it was relative formula mass that I achieved 46%. So I can very simply choose to quiz again, and that will allow me to pick up some questions there. You will notice those study sections there. Certain subjects do have access to study guides, and if they're available, then it's additional teaching material to support their quizzing in that particular topic or unit. But if I just show you here, if you choose to quiz from this section, again, putting the students in the driving seat, using all of the questions in relative formula mass. There are 49 questions, but they can choose the number of questions they include in their quiz. And they can choose to leave out questions that they've got right recently. So again, so they really feel that their revision time is being spent wisely, and they're not almost just spending that time remembering the things that they've actually really already, got solid knowledge in. But if I come back to the GCSE revision area here, what there is also options here is to help the students consider revising perhaps their weakest topics. Now, this will show the top sort of 5 headline topics and units that have got lower scores. And then the third and final area to explore in a little bit more detail is the revision wizard. And this can work for all sorts of learning styles, but very often we consider this is more the area for students that really aren't sure where to start, and they need a little bit of a helping hand. And so what they get to choose to do here is, would they like to learn something new, or would they like to revise? So as I pick up revise here, the Educake system just pre-generates a 10-question quiz, and it could be a whole subject quiz or a topic or a unit, and it's just randomly selected from the student's perspective. But what we've got happening in the background is an algorithm that really supports that spaced learning and repetition that I mentioned earlier. So it will understand the questions that the students have previously done, and it will ensure that there's a kind of cycle of how it's sort of throwing up the questions for the students to essentially match what they've already been taught to really support their knowledge recall in those areas. And again, if I choose take quiz there, and I'm just going to begin that 10-question quiz. And it is that 10 questions is an important part of this, because very often if we're students that are struggling with that motivation and engagement, short, sharp, snappy quizzing really helps keep them involved and motivated. And what you'll notice here at the top is there are a couple of other options that can just support different learning styles in lots of ways. So if a student finds it particularly challenging to see their percentage score as they work their way through, they can hide the score there if they want to. Or of course, if there is a need for reduced contrast, then of course there is that option to be able to reduce the contrast there as well. So really recapping that, revisiting teacher set quizzes so that you've really got the confidence and building sort of starting there. Then stepping into the purple area of Educate with that study and quiz themselves to really start to work on their strengths and weaknesses and really help them understand how to kind of self-guide their own study based on that information. And just sort of middle of the road, if a student really isn't sure where to start, then they have the wonderful revision wizard that they can use to support their learning too.